beautiful people, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to part 2 of my, I don't really know what to call it because it's not a series, but basically welcome to part 2 of what it's like to work as a ride operator.
Anytime I'm alone, I can't help thinking about you. I should have said it before. I try to hide it, all I need, all to see, it's just me and you. I can't pretend anymore.
So on Wednesday I put out a video about what it's like to work at Gulliver's Kingdom, which is the theme park that I work at. And that was basically about my first season there, my first year, and like the interview process, induction, like all of that. And so that is Wednesday's video, and then today's video is going to be about my second season working there, because it was completely different and it's all new and whatever, and I just ramble on for so long. I thought it would be a lot easier to do it as 2 separate videos, so this is kind of continuing onto that. So if you haven't watched that video, go and watch it, because then this video will make a lot more sense. If you're new here, hi, my name is Zoe, welcome to my channel. Hit that subscribe button, I would love to get to 1,500 subscribers, and if you just want to join my little family, my little hashtag onion ring crew, then hit that subscribe button. Okay, so I had completed my first season at Gulliver's Kingdom. It went so well, I really enjoyed it. I definitely wanted to go back the next year, so basically this year, 2020. So it came to like close season, it was the last day and whatever, and I've had my last day, like I've left and whatever. And it was like throughout close season I didn't do anything, I didn't have any other job, I wasn't like getting paid from like anything. It was a very poor close season for me, I was so broke. But in February, yeah, this was like a week before Pleasure Beach opening weekend, I think. In February I got a letter from Gulliver's Kingdom asking me to go back, basically, and I was so happy, because you don't have to like reapply if you want to go back the next season. They basically, if you've like made a good impression on them and they think that you've worked hard enough and whatever, then they will ask you to come back, and then if they don't ask you, then I guess you just reapply. But you don't have to reapply, like, because they'll just like call you, they'll send you a letter and they'll just ask you to come back. So I got the letter, and as soon as I opened it I saw the Gulliver's logo and I was like, oh my god. And I kind of read it sort of expecting it to be something else. Like, I thought it was going to be like a letter saying that they don't want me back or something. Like, I don't know, I kind of just always expect the worst and then I'm not like disappointed. So yeah, and I read it and I can't really remember what it said, but I think it was just like, thank you for all of your hard work throughout 2019. Like, when I read that I was like, oh, that's it, well, it's been fun, you know, whatever. And then I carried on reading and it was like, we would love you to come back and be part of our team again and whatever. And I literally cried so much. I was so happy. Like, I had missed it so much throughout close season, I'm missing it so much right now. But yeah, so they sent me a letter, and then a few days later, I remember. Okay, so they sent me like a letter, and then with that was another application form. So I guess you kind of did reapply, but you kind of knew that you were going to get that job back anyways if you got that letter. So I got the letter and then got the application form, and then you had to send the application form off. So I filled it out straight away. I didn't have to second guess it, I didn't have to think about it, I just did it straight away. My dad sent it off for me the day that I literally got it. It was sent straight back off again, and this is where it all could have actually gone wrong for me. And basically, so my dad had sent it off, like he had the receipt to say that it had been sent off, like it was all like done and dusted and whatever. And I think it was like a few days later I got a phone call from one of the staff members that sort of deals with all of that, and she was like, oh hi, like I was just wondering, did you want to come back this season? And I was like, yeah, please. And she was like, oh, we didn't get your application letter. And I was like, what? So I don't know what had happened there. Maybe it got lost in the post, like I have no idea. Like the address was correct, like I double checked the address, like my dad sent it off properly and everything, like we'd done everything that we had to. So I don't know what happened to that, but yeah, she was like, oh, we didn't get your application form or whatever, and I was literally like, but I'd already sent it off. But they let me come back anyways, thank God. If it wasn't for that phone call, I don't think I would have been working back there again, so thank God that they phoned me. At this point, coronavirus wasn't really a thing in the UK. I think there was like 1 or 2 cases, like it wasn't a massive deal at all. And then by the time induction had come, it had become a bit more of a thing, but it still wasn't like, you know, it wasn't deemed as like serious, and we, you know, we didn't think we would ever get to this point of, you know, having to be in lockdowns and whatever. But yes, so I went to induction, and this wasn't as long as the other inductions, because this induction was for the returning people basically, and they have like separate induction and separate training days and whatever for like new people, and then people that have just like returned from the previous season. So the induction, it was a lot more fun than the last one because I had already known pretty much everyone in that room. I felt a lot more confident. Like by the end of the 2019 season, my confidence had shot up so much, and like working there had just done absolute wonders for my confidence. So I just felt really confident going in. I was super excited to be back, and like I saw everyone that I knew, and like, yeah, it was great. So went for induction. This only lasted for the Saturday, I believe. They're always held on like weekends, and this was just on the Saturday. I didn't need to go back in on the Sunday, I don't think. So went in for the Saturday, had to be there for like 9 AM ish, I think. It was just very brief. It was just like going through paperwork again, signing more contracts, you know, just the usual sort of stuff. It was kind of similar to the previous induction that we had when I was like a proper newcomer, but this was just a bit more brief, and there wasn't as much sort of teamwork going on because we had all, you know, known each other and whatever. Coronavirus was mentioned, and I think they said something like, oh, if you've like been abroad in the past, I think it's 2 weeks or like 2 months or something, then you need to let them know. I don't know what would have happened if you had have gone abroad, like I'm not sure. I don't think anyone had, but yeah, that was mentioned. And then I think it was just like, oh, just be wary of like when you're coughing, or like if you sneeze and whatever, just make sure you have like a tissue with you or something. I don't know, but it was mentioned briefly. It wasn't made like a big deal out of. And then also on this induction, we just got to, we didn't really get to know them, but we briefly met our 2 new rides managers, because half of the rides team had left. So we had like 3 ride managers last season, and they had all left by the end of last season because they all just went sort of down different paths and whatever. So by this point we had 2 new ride managers. So we briefly met them, and then yeah, like I don't know, I can't really remember induction that much. I just remember going through loads of paperwork and having to sign like contracts, and there was a lot of waiting around because it was like you had to go through everyone, and like, you know, these things, like they just take time. So then the weekend after the induction was the training weekend, and the only ride that I got trained on was Zip Zag, and I mentioned this ride in Wednesday's video, but it's basically a zip wire, and I was so happy that they put me back on Zip Zag because I didn't want to do anything else. I didn't want to go back on Pirate Ship, I didn't want to do Log Coaster. I just wanted to do Zip Zag and Crow's Nest, and that's it. I was quite happy just doing those 2, and I feel the same about next year as well. Like if they do ask me to go back next year, I'm really hoping that they do. I only want to do Zip Zag and Crow's Nest. Like I'm happy just doing those 2. I don't want to do anything else. Training, again, it was very brief. I had to go to harness school again. After that we had a few hours training on Zip Zag, and then me and my good friend Jake, we got our assessment done on the same day that we had our training, because we didn't have to go through like the full 6 hours of training. I think we only had to do half of that because we had already you know, been trained on it for the previous year and whatever. Like, we knew what we were doing basically. And then we had our assessment on the same day, which was really fun because it was literally just like me and Jake and then the person who was assessing us. And we got to ride zigzag like as many times as we liked. And yeah, it was very brief, it was very quick, it was very like, yeah, you know what you're doing, you're good to go. Literally, we were meant to open on the Saturday. On the Friday before that Saturday, I got a phone call saying that they are having to close because of coronavirus, and I was devastated. I was so sad. So we closed in March and then we reopened on the 18th of July. Don't ask me why it wasn't the 4th of July like all of the other theme parks. I have no idea. I think maybe it's because they weren't ready, or I don't know, but we opened on the 18th of July and I'm so thankful that we did, because it meant that I got to experience Alton Towers opening weekend, and I wouldn't have been able to have done that if we opened on the 4th of July. So I was very thankful that I still had another sort of 2 weeks to go and do, you know, Alton Towers and Pleasure Beach and whatever. So from the 18th of July, which was a Saturday, we were open every day until the end of August, and it was so busy. I didn't really know what to expect, because I feel like one part of me was like, oh, people won't want to come, they'll just want to carry on staying at home and like keeping themselves safe and whatever. And then another part of me was like, but I'm pretty sure everyone will just want to get out and they'll want to start living their lives again, and like, you know, we'll just want to kind of go back to normal. And it was rammed. Every single day throughout the summer was so busy, and you know what, I don't blame anyone that came, because I honestly would have made the most of it as well if I wasn't working. Every time that I had a day off, I was like out the house, I was always doing something. So yeah, like it took a bit of getting used to, because it was just like, as soon as we went back, it was like, right, you're on zigzag, you know what you're doing, go for it basically. And it was just so busy. Like, it was kind of a shock, the fact that it was so busy. Like, I don't know, I just kind of wasn't expecting it. So the day that we reopened, I had to be there for 9 AM and I did all the zigzag checks and whatever, like the harness checks. And to be honest, I didn't have the best like attitude going back, because I think I'd spent so long out of it. I kind of had like no motivation to go back, and I was just like, I kind of just want to carry on like staying at home, like not really doing anything. But at the same time, like, I really wanted to just get out and, you know, do stuff. But yeah, it took a lot of getting used to, but once I got settled in and once, you know, I started to know everyone, knew that I was working with, and once everything kind of fell into place, I really enjoyed it again, and I remember why I actually love working there. So there really wasn't a lot mentioned. Well, there was a lot of it mentioned, but in terms of corona, we had to wear masks all day. We could bring our own masks and wear our own masks, which I'm so thankful for, because I love my Icon mask, and I feel like if I wear any other mask, I just hate it and it really irritates me. So yes, I'm very thankful that we're allowed to wear our own masks. And then I was quite surprised that Zigzag and the Crow's Nest, which is the high ropes course, I'm quite surprised that they were allowed to be open, but they were. And we basically just had to clean the harnesses every time that they were used. And we did this by having this like spray, and then it had like cleaning stuff inside of it basically. So we had to spray the harnesses down before we could use them on anyone else. We had to tell the customers to wear masks when we were harnessing them up, and then whilst they were on the ride as well. When people came in, so we have like this harness hut type thing where we harness people up, and then you walk sort of over to this bridge type thing, and that is where you actually get attached onto the ride. Oh, I miss it so much now I'm talking about it. I just want to go back. So yeah, so in the harness hut we have these like squares on the floor, so we can tell people to stand on those squares, so we know, you know, who to harness up and whatever. So we just had to, you know, tell people. We were only allowed like one family in that hut at one time, So we did it like that, or if there was only like one child going on, we'd have one child standing in one square over there, and then if another child or their child and their mum or their dad or whatever, if it was just like those two going on, we'd ask them to stand like at the opposite side of the harness hut and whatever, so we'd make sure that they were always like social distancing. That was kind of it in terms of like corona. Like nothing drastic had changed. I didn't like having to wear a mask all day. It really, like, when I first started to do it, I really hated it, and I just wanted to take it off, like, and just not wear it all day. But when you get used to it, like, it really isn't that bad, and I don't actually mind wearing a mask now, especially like in the cold weather, because it keeps my face nice and warm. And I know that I'm not like the only one having to wear a mask. Like, you know, all the staff members have to wear a mask, and like, you know, when I go to Alton Towers, they all have to wear masks. And yeah, so it gave me a lot of comfort knowing that I wasn't like on my own and whatever. It's just in the summer when we had like heat waves and whatever, like wearing a mask was just a big no from me. But once you get used to it, like you kind of just do get used to it. And you know that you're not the only one having to go through it, so it kind of makes you feel a bit better. We also did have social distancing markers put down on the floor as well, and this was just so pointless. I feel so sorry for whoever sprayed these markers down, because it was just absolutely pointless, because no one stood on them ever. I don't think I had a day working there where I didn't have to tell people to stand on these markers. Like, people just didn't get it, and people just kept getting so close to each other, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like crazy. Also, getting people to wear masks as well. The amount of times that people would just like, they'd get harnessed up, they'd wear a mask for that, which was fine. They would mainly ask like whoever was on the platform, they would ask us like, oh, can we take our mask off now, or can we take our mask off when we get to the top? And we're like, no, please keep it on throughout the whole ride. Like, I know that you're by yourself and you're not sort of around anyone, but still, like, when you come back in, you're going to be getting quite close to me, because I have to catch you as soon as you come in. So please just keep your mask on. And it's for when you're like going around the park as well. Like, you don't want to be having anything coming out of your mouth or like spreading germs or anything, so it would make perfect sense to just wear a mask and just protect yourself and just protect the people around you as well. Also, another change because of corona is we had to change staff rooms as well. So usually our staff room would be where sort of like Magic Bikes is, and like where the cycle monorail is and everything, but because that staff room is so small, we had changed staff rooms, so we went up to this like party room bit, and that is where our staff room was. And I actually preferred it in the party room because it was much bigger and you had so much more space. Also, another really cool thing that happened this season was my best friend Kaya actually got a job at Gulliver's Kingdom, which is crazy to me, because number one, never ever in a million years did I think I would ever get Kaya working in a theme park. Like, that is crazy. And second, like, she's my best friend in the entire world. She's my sister, like, she's everything to me. And we now work together and we work in the same place. That is so weird, and it's so cute because our rides, we don't work on the same ride, unfortunately. Maybe that might change next year, I'm not sure, but our rides are like opposite each other, so we're so close to each other, which I love so much. Sadly, she didn't get trained on Zip Zag, and no one sort of new got trained on Zip Zag. I think it's just because of like the budget and whatever. Like, you know, you have to pay people to be trained on Zip Zag, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. So like, I do understand it, but I really hope that if Kaya wants to, she can get trained on Zip Zag and Crow's Nest next year, and we can be like on the High Ropes team together, which would be so much fun. But yeah, it was just so much fun like working with her. I think me and her should do a video about what it's like working together. But overall, it was just so much fun because we could like do our ride checks together, and we could go and see each other on our lunch breaks. We sometimes had our lunch break together, which was so much fun. We went to each other at the end of the day. Like, she would help me put the harnesses away, I would help her tidy up her area if I was done, and like, yeah, we just had so many like inside jokes that came from that. We both got on with the managers really well, and oh my god, it's so much fun working with your best friend, and especially because me and Kaya just have the most incredible strong relationship ever. Nothing can like break us, and I think it, like, you know, it made us closer because we were able to spend so much time with each other. And like, you know, we had Ariana playing whenever she took me home, and she would sometimes take me to work, which is so nice of her. And it was great. So our last day was on the 30th of October, and I was so emotional on this day. Like, I was so sad. So this was also the October half-term week as well, and the opening times had actually changed for this week. So we had opened from 2:30 until 7:30, so we could like have rides open in the dark and stuff, which I think was really cool. I mean, opening at 2:30, bit of a weird time, but it meant that we could have the rides open in the dark and everything, and it was so cool, like working in the dark. And it's not very often that you get to see a children's park like that stay open in the dark and stay open that late, so it was really fun doing that. And especially like when you were on the platform of Zip Zag, like looking out into Matlock Bath when it was dark, it was so beautiful and the views were incredible. So yes, our last day was on the 30th of October, and I was so sad to be leaving. Like, I didn't want to leave, I didn't want it to end. I had just, you know, I'd had such a good season. So next season I would really love to become a premium operator, and that basically means that you get to wear this like fancy like shirt and then a tie and then like trousers and whatever, and like it's basically just doing like a load of like checks, like in the morning. I think you have to do some in the afternoon and then in the evening as well. And in October half term I actually got to walk around with one of my managers whilst he was doing the premium op checks, and it was so much fun. And he showed me like behind the scenes and like what goes on and stuff, and I loved it so much. Like, he took me around in the morning, he took me around in the evening when it was all dark, like shutting everything down, and like, you know, like I loved it so much. So I'd really love to do that next season, but I don't think they'll let me. Like, they just want to keep me on Zip Zag and that's it. They won't let me do anything else. I'm joking, like they will, but it would mean so much to me if I became premium ops. So ride managers, if you're watching, please hit me up, because it's my dream to become a rides manager one day at any theme park really, Gulliver's, Alton Towers, wherever. But you know, I'm quite happy staying at Gulliver's for now, and I always get the question like, oh, would you want to go and work at Alton Towers or just like a bigger theme park? And honestly, right now, no, because I'm really happy with like my team at Gulliver's. I'm really happy, you know, working with like children and working with like nice people. So yeah, because like every customer that we get, like I mean, not every, but most of the customers that we get, they do tend to be really nice, and it's like the working with children that I really love. And yeah, you know, I feel very at home at Gulliver's and feel like it's like the right place for me. But I would really love to progress, and I don't know whether I can do that at Gulliver's. I basically, if I was going to progress at Gulliver's, I want to become premium operator. Then I'd want to go up to be a supervisor and then a manager and just like work my way up basically. And I think because I am also, you know, like I'm such a geek, I love seeing all of the behind the scenes that goes on at theme parks, like how they're all run and, you know, what goes into running a theme park. Like, I love all of that, and I find it so interesting. Whereas, like, you know, other people find it boring, but I find it so interesting, and I love seeing how different theme parks work. And yeah, so, you know, if I got to become like a premium op, I'd be able to like see all of that, and like, oh god, it would just, oh, I want it so bad. So yeah, that was basically my second season at Gulliver's Kingdom, and now I just have to wait and see if they'll have me back next season. I really hope they do. If you guys have any questions on what it's like to work at Gulliver's Kingdom, what it's like to work in a theme park, what it's like to be a ride op, a high ropes operator, anything like that, please do comment them down below, or I will do like a separate Q&A for it, and I'll make it a lot better than the one that I did at the beginning of this year. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Make sure to check out Wednesday's video if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time for a brand new video. Mwah. Bye!
Ain't nobody like me.